Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of Houston with myself, Dr. Clara Brent, and my co host, Dr. Bobby Mills. We are thinking this morning that God has been good to us, hasn't He, Bobby? And
Right.
good to Houston, sure enough, because we missed that storm. Of course, there's some more coming along. But most of all, I like to speak about this baby talk about this baby that was at home, 2 years old, and it was on the news. I'm quite sure most of us have seen it. That it's after took the high fever, the next time she was dead, and that's just 2 years old. And they found out it was COVID. Now, if it's starting to hit our children, do you imagine that whoever it is that's going around with this virus, you are putting, if you're not getting your shot, if you're not taking the test, at least take the test so that you will know that you have it and you won't go around everyone passing it on. That baby had to receive it from someone in the family or someone that she came in contact with, hugging or possibly kissing it.
More than likely it was. His
And
family
so
member.
we're getting too selfish about this thing. You're thinking about yourself and not the people that you are close to and are surrounded by or with. So I'm saying to everyone that's under my sound of my voice that you would take it seriously. At least go get a test, and then if you turn up negative, go get the shot too. Because you need to protect not only yourself, but you should be protecting the people that are around you, the people that you come in contact with every day, and putting them under a high risk, especially the children. And they are our future, and we don't want them to be leaving before their time. You know what I'm saying, Bobby?
Well,
And
it's not the order
doctor,
of God that, parents bury their children. So the reason why the 2-year-old child is no longer with us is because of the negligence of parents and adults who
right?
have some supervisory role in relationship to the child's life. And this is what we know today, that this is a virus really of those who are unvaccinated, the people who will not take the shots because it's really unconscionable that people don't understand that the science behind this is not something that they just came up with out of the clear blue sky.
I know
The
that's
science of this is 2 or 3 decades old. It's not something that they just came up with.
because it's on the Lysol can.
Yeah,
It
right,
tells you about it
right.
fights corona. So
And so
why?
now what has
So
happened is this virus has replicated itself 9 different times. So now the Delta virus is much stronger than it
Yes.
was initially,
Delta
and it will
virus.
it will
Yes,
it will
Lord.
take you out of here and take you out very very
And
quickly.
and but it's not only that. It's beginning on our children,
Yeah,
and our
25% of the
teenagers are
people who
being duped into thinking
right.
because they're young that nothing's going to happen to them, and it is even in my church. Has several teenagers have had
Contract.
contracted the virus. It's just a good thing of the Lord that He's protecting them. Thank the Lord for that. And but the issue is that they don't understand how important it is and why they are here. It's not for themselves. It's for God. He
Right.
put us all here for a reason, and it's left up to us to
And
find that reason
and
out, of course. But
and
and
scientifically, it has been cleared that children who are 12 and older can get vaccinated.
well,
And
why not? Why not get vaccinated?
well, a lot of it is just ignorance and politics. And
I know.
really,
Oh,
and you can say
yes,
the
sir.
politics of ignorance.
Is
Really,
it's
because
very ignorant.
when you have people who call themselves Christian evangelicals and conservative, and what is it that they're trying to conserve?
Oh, it's not lives.
You know,
That's for
you're
sure.
not trying to conserve life.
They're not trying to conserve lives.
And
that's
you're
what
certainly not trying to control democracy, because on January the 6th of 2021, you went and tried to destroy democracy. You went and stormed the Capitol, and you're getting ready to try to go back down there
again and act a
on
fool.
January.
That's all I can say to you. Acting a fool. That's all.
You tried to
being
destroy
foolish.
January the 6th, and you were not successful, but
Yeah.
now you're getting ready to go back.
Go back to
on
be a fool
September
again.
the 18th and try to celebrate why you were not
Yes.
able to destroy it on January the 6th.
Yes, and that's so
Insane.
much. Thank you. It's insane.
insane.
And then we look at the fact that not only the politicians and the ones that are being persuaded by the politicians, I don't understand their reasoning. However, it could be just plain old hatred. It could be just plain old ignorance. I want to say it's plain old ignorance, because when you stop and think about something that you are destroying, it's not going to do you any good in the long run. So why do it? That's what I'm speaking of. I was looking this morning at Vice President for the Republican Party. He was putting down our president of the United States, of the Democratic Party, huh?
You talking about former Vice President Pence?
Pence, yes, he the former. I should have said former, former Vice President. How he put down our president for stating what he stated. That is that we should start mandating vaccinations. You should start mandating, especially companies that have a large amount of workers. And there are workers that have been vaccinated, and there are workers that have not been vaccinated. And most of the time, those masks, they're not all that good. You know what I'm saying? It's not all that good, so that the virus can escape.
Well, the thing
from
about
you.
it is, when you live in a community, or if you're in a work environment, you have a social responsibility to people that you work with and are associated with.
True.
And, there has to be some sense of responsibility in terms of how you deal.
And this has, thank you, I'm sorry, but it has to do with not being so much that I have my rights. This is my right, and I have a right to not to wear a mask if I don't want to wear a mask. You should be thinking about other people as well, because the right thing to do, your right should be that you want to do right toward everybody else besides yourself. That's selfishness. You're thinking about yourself only and not thinking about the people that you're going to be around. You're going to the
They're
store.
not even thinking about themselves, because if they were thinking about themselves,
They wear masks.
they wear a mask.
Get a
and
vaccination.
shot. So
They get all that kind of
they're not
good stuff.
So it's not selfishness, it's insanity.
Yes, that's what it is. And for our politicians to push this craziness up as if it's not anything, it's just something that you flip a coin and whatever heads or tails, you all right. If it's heads, you could. If it's tails, you still good. Right. That does not compute with anything that I am used to. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm not used to that type of mentality. Right. Where someone tells you something and you're supposed to accept it because they said. Why are they taking shots then? Why are they wearing masks? And you see that when you don't wear a mask, even with our governor. Right. Wear a mask, you're gonna get it. Right. You're gonna catch it, and of course, I'd like to know what he took. Well, I don't know about you all, but I'd like to know what in the world he took. He got right on out the bed. He's doing good, really good.
Well, he's the governor, so he has access to the best.
Well, everyone should have that.
That's right.
Everyone should have that
That's
that
true,
access.
but you're not the governor.
Of
It's,
course,
it's
of course
the
not.
same thing when President Trump contracted the disease.
Yeah, he was up and
And-
at him in about 4 days.
Well, that's not what happened. Was he went to the best hospital in the world and had the best medical care in the world. He went to Walter Reed. He was on the 4th floor. He had the entire section with 12 or 13 physicians
In the
attending
world.
him, and 10 to 12 nurses, and they was giving him oxygen and the best
Care that he could
care
possibly
that
get.
he could.
But
And
he-
as soon as he was able to try to convince you that he was all right, he went back to the White House. And as soon as he could get the shot, he went and got the shot and didn't tell nobody.
Sure didn't. And then he acted. Then he fooled the ones that believed in him so much.
And then finally,
isn't that pitiful how you can be fooled so easily?
Well, finally, he and his wife told everybody they got the shot.
And then that's just plain old foolishness to me for to listen to someone like that, and to listen
Well,
to
you
our
know.
governor even. But I just can't believe him. I really can't believe him, and I can't believe those Republicans that's in office that don't care anything about the people of Texas, only about what they want and how they want it done. And I don't think that's a representation of the people. It's a representation of your party and not your people that you're supposed to be representing, and passing all these old crazy laws that you can wear a
Well, you know, the
gun
devil-
and you
the
can
devil
carry
got-
a gun
the
and
devil
you can
got a
shoot one
party
another
too
and
now.
all that crazy, huh?
Yeah, you know the devil has a party now.
Oh yeah. We understand. We understand the devil has a part in it, but
He got a
a lot of
real
people don't understand that the devil has a part in this thing.
Yeah,
They-
no, he has not only a part in it, but he has a party.
A party. not a good party, but a
Yeah,
party.
yeah.
He's having something. He's using those young men and old men and women to carry out his agenda.
See, God's
that
party,
is to-
God's
that
party
is to
made
go
up
carry
of
you to hell with
the
him.
Truth, the truth, the truth. God the Father, the truth. God the Son, the truth, and God the Holy Spirit, the truth.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
Yeah. Well, it's a sad commentary on American society today because we're doubling down as a society, and we're trying to normalize being insane. Because what a lot of these people are doing is just plain old insanity.
And I don't believe in America, we've gotten to the point now that we don't even really call ourselves, I call myself a Christian. I call myself a believer. But there are a lot of people that have changed their minds about God and about Christ.
No, they didn't change their mind. They never had their mind made up.
Is that what it is? Because it's kind of hard to accept the fact that we had over half, 3/4 of this country were believers. Now we gone further down, like 44%. Might be lower than that now. 44% when I was read about it was 44%. I said, golly, we dropped that fast? 44% don't believe in Christ. Don't have any faith in God. It says God is really not, it's not in existence.
Well, you know what it is. It's that we have become so secularized as a society where people are materialistic, and the unit that God created. See, God created family. The Supreme Court did not create family or the designer of family. And so when you seek to prostitute the institution that God created and ordained
That's true.
and make it something that God did not intend it to be, then what you get is confusion. So we have a society today where a lot of young children are growing up confused because they're not growing up, a lot of them, in two-parent families. They're growing up, in a single-family environment. And God had a vision for what family is supposed to be about, because there are different roles in a family that must be played. See, the role of a mother in a family is that she's the teacher, and
Yes,
she has to
doctor.
teach. The mother has to teach you love, and the first thing she got to teach is, this is your father, love your father, because mama's baby, papa's maybe. You. See, your mother got to teach you to love your father, because from the beginning, the mother and the child, they are spiritually bonded. That's why it was such a horrible, horrific kind of scene when you saw President Trump ripping 3-year-old children away from their mothers on the border. The child doesn't know anybody.
What type of child it's going to be?
And now you've traumatized that child.
Yes.
For the rest of its life by taking the child away from the mother that way and so forth.
Exactly. And
so when you create a society that does not value family structure,
yeah,
and you seek to prostitute it, where now you can say two men, that's a family. That's and that's a marriage. Or 2 women, that's a marriage. That's a family.
But could we
when
just
we know
go
that's
to the
not the
point?
order of God.
What if the parent is absent? If the parent is absent, if the father is absent, that mother who is to teach that child, to instruct that child, should know how to know God. Put God in her life. Show that child who God is, and that He is the Father, as Christ has said. The Father, we call Him Father, and He is the Father, even though the Father is absent. And even if the mother is absent, that father should instill in that child about who God is, who Christ is, if they're absent from one another. Now, if they're together, and I see what you're speaking of is this opposite sex, opposite of the other together people being together of the same sex. But I'm speaking of the fact that those that are out there on their own with their children, it's time to get back to God. That's all I'm saying. Get back with God. Show your children the importance of knowing who God is. Now, sure, they might stray, but putting it in their minds and hearts, if they do stray, they know where to go when they get in trouble. And that's where I want to put that into the minds and thoughts of our viewers, that we need to think about our children getting to know God, getting to know Christ. More than anything else, go back to church. That's what I'm saying. Go back to church. Go get involved in showing your child how good God is to you. You didn't wake yourself up. You didn't get up on your own. The clothes that you're wearing does not mean you bought them because you had a job. You didn't have to have a job. Those things you have to look at, that it's God who does it, not you. It's God that makes a way out of no way, not you. And when you show your children that, the importance of it, we still can we have a God that will understand. He will forgive. He doesn't look at everything backwards and craziness like a human man would, and neither does Christ. So let's look at the fact that we need to go back to church. Just back to church. Stop staying at home talking about you can worship God at your house and look at the television. That's a man and a woman on television preaching about God, but they're not reaching you in physically. They're not reaching you spiritually per se, because you're looking at them as if you're looking at a movie.
Well, I think the biggest thing that has happened to us in our society is that we have become so overly materialistic that people have no sense of the sacred. Everything is profane. So my thing is, you can go to church physically, but unless you know how to go to church before you come to church, you won't understand.
What are you saying?
You won't understand what church is all about. So when you get to church, you're going to go in there looking at what Sister Susie got on, how
that's what you're
so-and-so
saying.
look. You're going to be dealing with all other kinds of variables and mess, rather
Just
than
like you would out there in the streets.
the world.
Yeah, in the world.
So, because you bring in the church.
You bring the world to the church.
Now, what I'm saying is, you bringing the church to the forefront as the world, because what you have done is brought the world in the church when you came.
Exactly.
So
you come there with an open mind.
there you go.
Your spirit be free.
The mind of God.
Yeah, have the mind of God and
And
teach your children. That's all I say.
And
If
the
you
mind
teach your
of
children,
God is just twofold.
yeah, you teach them.
Love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might.
That's exactly right.
And love your neighbor
As yourself.
Now, that's the mind of God. And look, we know that prior to Moses receiving the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai, them Hebrews, the Hebraic tradition had 610 different laws. They had a law for everything.
But God gave them only 10.
Any law.
God gave them only 10, and they couldn't
And
follow
that's
those
how
10.
they couldn't follow
And then
the
they
10.
started making all the laws just like in the United
Not like
States.
they're doing
We
right
can't
now.
even follow. We took down the 10 Commandments in the courtrooms in the hallways of the courthouse, and so we now don't even have the Bible as a swear guide to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Yeah.
And so they now no longer are they afraid of God. So they said, well, if anybody's afraid of God, we just take the Bible out of it and let them lie on. Just lie on. I want to just change the subject just a little bit. How about the Cowboys? Cowboys my favorite team. And I was looking at it, and it looked like Cowboys was doing so good. I relaxed and went to sleep. Went to sleep on the game.
And when you went to sleep,
and when
I
woke up there, when I woke up this morning, I said, I wonder the Cowboys stayed up there.
Well, they got hoodwinked in the last minute and a half of the game when the offensive player actually fouled, the defensive player on the Cowboys
So they
team.
cheated. Somebody cheated.
Well, the ref wouldn't call a foul.
So he cheated. The ref cheated, bless his heart, bless their hearts, or whomever it was.
The next thing you know, they got down within, 44, 45 yards, kicked the field goal, and won the game by 1 point or 2 points.
So they put that on that famous boy with the golden hand.
Well, they know how to cheat.
And the brain.
They know how to cheat.
And so he threw a good pass, more than likely, and they were set up for a goal.
The offensive guy really, truly, he fouled the defensive guy.
Offensive fouled the defense?
Yeah, he fouled the guy.
And they didn't call it right.
They didn't call the foul, no.
See, there's a lot of Cowboy fans that's really upset this morning.
Yeah. because
We
they
upset
got
y'all.
cheated out of the game.
Yeah.
They got cheated out of the game. They
Got cheated out of the game. But that's all right, Cowboys. I know you to come back. You will come back.
Because they played a good game, and Dak is back on track.
Yeah.
He's doing, extraordinarily well. He's very agile.
Oh, good.
He's
Good.
almost.
Yeah, I just knew they had that game beat.
Right.
Really. I sit up there in that chair and got relaxed, and before I knew it, I went to sleep. But I'm happy that things gonna get better with the Cowboys. That's the way I look at it. Just because you lost to them one game doesn't mean you can't win the rest of them. And that's the way we all ought to act as people of God. And of course, there are some of them. Because some of us not gonna act like people of God.
On the Lord's side, you're on the winning team.
Yeah. The song say, "Who's on the Lord's side? Stand up." It's time for us to start the standing up. I also want to take a moment here to ask everyone to be sure to think about voting. It's getting close to that time, and before you know it, it's going to be election time.
Make sure that you're registered.
Yes, registered, of course. And then if you're registered, don't sit at home and don't go vote. And if you can, I don't know how the legislators in Texas has done what they have done. It's still kind of up in the air. But whatever they have done, don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from going and vote. If they've set up something, they'll set up some kind of blockage. Oh, you got to play the football game.
Well, they've
and
enacted
take the pass.
Laws that restrict access to the vote.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can see it that the older Americans that's not white vote because we who are in that group understand what we had to go through to get where we're going. I'll get where we are today, even much. And then our younger people that are not white are not looking at the fact that they didn't have a hard time. They see a hard times, but they really don't know hard times. When I say that, I'm speaking of you were not said, get back with the N-word. You were not called out in the streets with the N-word. You were not kept from going into a place of business that was either a hotel or a motel or a cafeteria or a restaurant, and you had to the restrooms and all that filthiness that they allowed in the restrooms. They wouldn't clean them up and wouldn't allow you to clean them up. So there's those kind of things that I can remember growing up. Our young people don't remember growing up. And so even though we bring Martin Luther King in it, Black history, I'm quite sure they're so used to hearing Black history, Martin Luther King this and Malcolm X that and someone else that, Muhammad Ali this and all of those people, the women that, what's that lady's name, Tubman. We bring up those people, but we don't bring up us. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
we don't tell our children, and they don't tell their children because we didn't tell ours how we got here, what we had to do to get where we are now, how we had to study hard, how we had to save when we couldn't have nothing really to save. How we used to buy oxtails, how our parents bought oxtails and pig feed and all those other things so that we could survive with rice and beans. You know what I'm saying, Bobby? And we're not telling them that we what made us do what we had to do. I'm sorry I overrode you
No,
on that part.
Yeah.
But I think we need to start telling our children that it's important by us voting. Because of our vote, we made it.
Well, I think the most important thing is that we got to go back to what we used to call the old landmark and start teaching our children that if you define yourself by the reality of God and not by your skin tone,
There you go.
you will be better off in the long run as a human being. Part of our problem is that we have allowed the system to define us by our skin color.
Well,
And,
we grew up with that book on television,
right, and I can tell
and the
you,
movies and everything else, and putting down in the streets and as well, police.
See, I can tell you
Everybody.
when I was in college at Syracuse University, I was the only black. I was the only black student. And I would walk around Syracuse University like the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof.
And that's the
I'm
way
his
it is.
child.
Yeah, you're his child, and you were
and-
his child, and
and-
you're still
and-
up his now.
And the white guys who came from affluent families and driving, Corvettes and Mercedes and all of those kinds of things, and many of them was driving a Mercedes, but they didn't know how to say, "Lord, have mercy on me," and acknowledge that they were a sinner too, saved by grace. So one day we were in class and they all asked me, they said, "Well, Mills, we don't understand you." So I said, "Well, what is it that you don't understand about me? I got 2 eyes, just like you. I got 2 ears, just like you, 2 feet, just like you,
Yeah.
So biologically, we the same. The only difference between you and I as a male is some skin tone. So what is it that you don't understand?" They said, well, what we don't understand is that, man, you walking around here and you're not insecure. I said, well, should I be? And they would tell me, well, look, if I were the only white person and everybody was black, then I would feel insecure. I said, oh, that's the difference between you and I, because see, you defining yourself by your skin color. I'm not defining myself by my skin color. I'm defining myself by the reality of God.
All right.
Because God said he knew me
Before you were
I
in
was
your...
even consumed
Yes,
or
Lord.
conceived in my mother's womb. So I'm not defining myself by no skin color, because it's not about skin, it's about sin.
It's the sin that's of this world.
That's
called.
right. And so,
And selfishness and greed and...
so about 2 or 3 days later, the guys would come back to me and they said, well, Mills, you know what? You helped me because I never thought about it that way. I said, well, I'm glad I could help you. Because I'm not insecure because all y'all white.
I got you.
And I'm definitely not insecure because y'all driving a Mercedes.
Well,
I said, you might be driving a Mercedes, but I'm saying, Lord, have mercy on me.
So one day you will be driving one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's so important to define yourself and not let everyone else define
Fine,
you.
yeah.
And that's another thing that I like to say if we have any teenagers or young adults. Stop letting people define you, who you are, how you're supposed to look, and what you're supposed to wear. If you like it, that's enough.
And the most important thing is that
if you like yourself, then other people will start liking you altogether. Just be a good person at all times.
because the most important thing is that a mind is neither black or
No,
white
no,
or male or female.
right.
It's
In
just-
his mind, in
It's
God's
just a
mind.
It's a brain.
Yeah, and so we
you
have
to
done
learn
that
how
to each other.
Discipline, right? You have to learn how to discipline and use your brain to benefit not only you, but to glorify God.
Exactly right.
And what most of us end up not doing is we want to glorify ourselves and not glorify God.
Yeah,
And we get twisted.
all
See, that's
in
why
the
you have
mind.
all these twisted people out here now.
And suicides, and
Yeah.
people having suicides because of what somebody said or what they said about you.
Right.
Now you get yourself together, and you start reading the Bible, or you read a book that's going to be helpful to you, and stop looking at all these old crazy movies, these scary movies and bloody movies, and people killing each other and talking about one another and showing off. Stop looking at all of that. It's not good for you. You become what you see and what you hear, and especially what you read. So if you want to be of a good mind, good body, good health, read good things. Well, we're going to have to leave you, but I want you to know God loves you. We love you too,
And love yourself.
love yourself, sure enough. Please love yourself. And keep your paper in your car. And we'll see you next time on The Voice of Houston. God bless.